As I look back at my 10-year-long drinking career, I had some very cringy moments. Just things that happened that, first of all, should have embarrassed me, and second of all, should have made me stop and think. But of course, I was in the throes of alcoholism. I didn't think a thing of it at the time, but now looking back, I feel like I'm getting secondhand embarrassment from the firsthand embarrassment that I should have had. For example, I was notorious for drinking gas station wine. Yes, I was a real classy gal buying alcohol at the gas station, but I was to that point where it didn't matter. And there were a few gas stations that lived around me that I would rotate because I didn't want to make it look like I was going there all the time buying alcohol, because then everybody would know I had a drinking problem, which now looking back is so stupid. Obviously they knew. But apparently I still got a name at these gas stations, or I was known at these gas stations for being the frequent flyer that I was, buying wine all the time. For example, I was meeting a client for something work related. So this was a professional setting, and she had her friend with her. And the whole time me and this client were having this conversation, me and her friend just kept looking at each other. And I could tell we both recognize each other. So finally I asked her, I said, "Do I know you somehow?" And she's like, "I was just thinking the same thing." So we talked about where we went to school, just where we were from, trying to figure out how we knew each other. And then finally I was like, "What do you do for work?" She's like, "Oh, well, I work at a gas station." I'm like, "Which one?" She's like, "Oh, the 7-Eleven on this intersection." I was like, "Oh yeah, that one's right by myself." And she goes, "Oh, you're the wine lady." So yeah, I was known as the wine lady there. And apparently I wasn't really good at doing my rotation to make it look like I didn't have a drinking problem, because I would go there and buy one bottle thinking that's all I'm going to drink. If you know, you know. Would get all buzzed up and then would go back to that same store, forgot my rotation, and buy more alcohol, therefore giving me the reputation in the name of being the wine lady. And then there was another gas station that I would go to all the time, to the point that the owner actually came up to me one time and said he was putting in an order for the next alcohol delivery, and he actually asked me what I wanted him to order for me. It's like, hello, here's your sign. And also a little side story about how I would frequent the same gas station a few times in the same night. For the most part, I was smart enough to know not to drive. So I had a teenage son at the time who had his license, had a car. So I would always somehow talk him into bringing me to the store, bribe him with something. And he's a big gamer, would always be on like the headset thingy. And I remember one time I went into his room and I was like, "Hey," I just was trying to get his attention. And he's like, "Hang on, guys." And he puts his headset down, and I could hear in the microphone, one of the guys he was playing with was like, "Oh, does your mom need you to bring you to get wine again?" And now looking back, sober me is just like, oh my gosh. Like, my teenage son's friends that he plays his Call of Duty with or whatever, even they know and they see it. It's just so cringy. I am just so thankful that I don't live that life anymore.